Are customers more unloyal than we've realized? Will tracking on the web get better due to SmartLinks? Is surveillance capitalism all that is left to grow the economy? We'll look at these topics and more at the intersection of business and culture. Disruptive FM. Let's do this.
It's Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Welcome to Disruptive FM, where business and culture collide. Sponsored by Microsoft and Branding Strategy Insider. With your host, Jeffrey Colon.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Disruptive FM, episode 44 for the week ending Friday, May 17th. I'm Jeffrey Colon, and I'll be your guide for the next 15 minutes or so as we look at some of the new developments in marketing, tech, media, and popular culture. Here we go.
Here are this week's trending topics. Disloyal.
Okay, I admit it. I've been unloyal to you, the listening audience, by missing a week or two here or there over the past month. My business travel schedule got a little hectic, and of course that has meant recording some of these episodes from hotel rooms in places like Hamburg, Germany, and Paris, France. In fact, I'm recording this currently in Paris as we speak. And this leads to our first trending topic. Are customers more unloyal than we realize? We have all these loyalty programs set up, and we treat many of our segments as either customers or non-customers when it comes to our messaging. But is this a mistake? There now seems to be a movement by some brands to market to everyone as if they are a non-customer, meaning no one is really loyal to the brand. Even Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff declared that loyalty is dead. He suggests that loyalty is changing and is now more associated with a customer's whole journey, their experience, and in some cases, dependent on being part of a community. The most critical times for generating loyalty were at the point of purchase or when a customer had an issue that needed resolving. And yet, what are brands doing? They're pulling back from these areas. 49% of customers said that their loyalty was earned at the point of purchase, and 40% said that loyalty was also earned when they had a problem or issue that needed to be dealt with. Some other interesting statistics. 88% of customers stated that trust is extremely important when and where they decide to shop. And to build trust, by far the most popular driver was that retailers must deliver what they promise. So the lesson here, loyalty, maybe it's not dead, but trust is. And that is what we all should be focusing on again.
Trending topics on DFM. SmartLinks.
Measuring traffic to content using links is a pain in the ass. We admit it. But now there seems to be a movement toward what is known as SmartLinks, and it's being led by who else but a podcast tracking service company. These trackable URLs will let creators know how listeners found a podcast and whether the marketing message that got them there was effective. The tool, called SmartLinks, comes from a company called Chartable, and it emphasizes just how much work needs to be done to make podcasts as trackable as the rest of the web. Right now, podcast marketing often involves sharing links to a show. You might see them on Twitter, you might see them on Instagram, and of course, newsletters as well. What's old is new again. Of course, it's easy to track whether someone clicked those links. What's more difficult is telling whether someone actually pressed play on an episode once they clicked through. This is dynamic content, after all. Right now, that information isn't widely available, but Chartable's new product should open it up to a lot more podcasters. This is how SmartLinks works. It actually pairs a custom URL with a cookie to track social media users when they click on a podcast link. Chartable collects each person's IP address and then cross-references it with the IP addresses of a show's listeners. That'll let marketers know how effective their message was and where listeners are learning about shows. These custom links can be set with specific rules, like whether to direct all iPhone listeners to Apple Podcasts or whether to allow listeners to choose their app of choice. This is a step in the right direction. Now that content has become more dynamic on the web. What we ask, though, is it's surprising to us Google hasn't done the same when you link to a video on YouTube. Maybe this move will inject some smarts in us all.
Trending topics on DFM. Surveillance capitalism.
What happens when all you have left in the economy is tracking people, both online and off? You have surveillance capitalism. And this is an area that will only continue to grow as algorithms understand us better than we understand ourselves. Last week, I was able to see one of my favorite authors, Yuval Noah Harari, give a keynote address at the OMR Festival in Hamburg, Germany, where he addressed this very topic. Harari wants us to prepare for a world of AI by knowing ourselves more than the machines. It was a fascinating presentation, and we captured some of it exclusively here on DFM. Let's take a listen.
Quite often, people don't know the most important things about themselves. I know this from my own personal experience. It was only when I was 21 that I finally realized I was gay after several years of living in denial. Now I keep thinking back about the time when I was 15 or 17, and I often ask myself, how could I have missed it? It would have been so obvious. I don't know how, but the fact is that I did miss it. And that's hardly exceptional. Lots of gay men spend their entire teenage years not knowing something very important about themselves. Now imagine the situation in a few years when an algorithm can tell any teenager at age not 15 but even 13 or 11 exactly where he or she is on the gay-straight spectrum, just by collecting and analyzing lots of data. One way to do it might be to track eye movements. The computer could track my eye movements and analyze what my eyes do when I see a sexy guy and a sexy girl walking in swimming suits on the beach. Where do my eyes focus and where do they linger? As I surf the web or watch YouTube or just walk down the street, the algorithms will discreetly monitor and hack me in the service of the government or of some corporation. Maybe I still don't know that I'm gay, but Coca-Cola already knows it. So next time it shows me an advertisement, it will choose the version with the shirtless guy and not the version with the girl in the bikini. And next day, when I go to the store, I choose to buy Coke and not Pepsi. I won't know why, but Coca-Cola will know, and this information will be worth billions. Such information could, of course, have far more serious consequences. For example, Brunei has just recently instituted the death penalty for homosexuality. What would it mean for a gay man in Brunei to be detected by a government algorithm? Of course, not everybody is gay, but everybody has secrets worth knowing. If indeed it becomes possible to systematically hack millions of people, what might be the wider consequences?
That was Yuval Noah Harari, author of the books Species and Homo Do, from an excerpt from his keynote address last week at the OMR Festival in Hamburg, Germany, on the growing role of surveillance capitalism and how humans need to be more human in a growing automated world.
It's Disruptive FM.
Communications.
The Business Culture Podcast.
They say if you listen closely, you can hear the sound of today.
It's Disruptive FM, the culture of business. I'm Jeffrey Colon. We would love to connect with you. Follow us on Twitter or Instagram at DisruptiveFM. And you can connect with me personally on Twitter or Instagram at DJGEOFFE. Big shout out to our sponsors, Microsoft Advertising and Branding Strategy Insider. For more in-depth analysis of some of our topics here, visit MicrosoftAdvertising.ai and BrandingStrategyInsider.com. TFM is also sponsored by Iographer. Help you to create better video. Iographer makes accessories for your mobile devices so you can make professional quality videos. Check out all their great products at iographer.com. In the background, it's new music from Moullinex and a track called My Ladybug. Severino is on the remix. It's out now on Nervous Records. You can listen to the whole track on Spotify. We'll include a link in the description for this episode.
Disruptive FM presents...
Stop! It's the motherfucking remix!
Everything is a remix.
An article came out this past week from QZ on the death of influencer culture and the rise of, get this, slackers. The New York Times did an in-depth focus for its Style magazine on Generation X. The recent death of John Singleton got us all thinking about the early 1990s once again, when Hollywood was black everywhere and not just on Twitter. There is more and more talk about how Gen Z is a lot like Generation X and how boomers and millennials don't like the fact all this attention is no longer on them. Those two groups are so used to shouting all the time for attention, they literally have been eclipsed by a bunch of slacking losers just making shit happen. This is showcasing once again how pendulums swing. The past decade has been all about shouting loud from your social media account on how important you are. But now there is less shouting, more immersion, and less polish. The influencers of the 2020s, at least from what we can see from early indicators, don't like polish. They want to be who they are offline when they are online. And they aren't going to take 20 minutes to get the perfect photo posted on Instagram. In fact, they probably don't even want to be on Instagram. To them, that's for the sellouts. The real folks are doing things in physical spaces once again and letting others capture their grittiness for all to see and letting word of mouth carry the message. We've come full circle once again, as if 1994 is our North Star. It's as if the 2010s never happened. Yup, that's because everything is a remix. Okay, we like to keep an eye on the news and look for stories just starting to make waves. It's a segment we call On the Radar.
Here's what's on our radar. Number 1.
To correctly identify the socioeconomic backgrounds of those taking this SAT exam, the College Board will assign an adversity score to every student. 15 factors will be considered when calculating the score, including crime rate and poverty levels of where the student comes from. Colleges will be given that score along with the student's application, who will be unaware of their result. The College Board said it was introducing the new system after a trial at 50 schools last year, as well as concerns over income inequality influencing test results for years.
Number 2.
The Federal Communications Commission wants phone companies to give customers an easier way to block unwanted robocalls. The regulatory agency's new proposal, if enacted, would allow carriers to apply robocall blocking technologies to accounts automatically. Hey, Twitter, take note. There were roughly 4.9 billion robocalls placed across the U.S. last month.
Number 3.
And fewer than 4 million babies were born in the U.S. last year, the smallest number in over 3 decades, with potentially lasting effects on the future workforce. The declining birth figures, which have fallen for 10 of the last 11 years, suggests that without immigrants or robots, the future workforce may be too small to support the growing number of retirees and possibly end Social Security programs as we know it. Some analysts expect the birth rate to rise again, however, as the millennial cohort moves through their 30s. Okay, that will do it for another weekly dose of DFM number 44. As always, thanks for checking us out. We would love if you would rate, review, and subscribe to the show. And please tell a friend. We're on all the major podcast services: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Spreaker, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud. Once again, the socials, Twitter and Instagram @DisruptiveFM is the handle. And read more in-depth content via our three sponsors: MicrosoftAdvertising.ai, BrandingStrategyInsider.com, and iographer.com. Next week, highlights and special guests cooking up from Vivatech in Paris, France. Until then, for everyone here at DFM, have a great week. I'm Jeffrey Colon, and we'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to Disruptive FM with Microsoft Communications designer Jeffrey Colon. All thoughts are his own. Disruptive FM is produced in Los Angeles by Feeler Media.